we're here to talk about tonight, and that is the family side. As my dad used to say, my dad taught me this business. He was the one who was first doing these types of seminars in the United States back in the early 70s. He would say, you know, a monkey can save you estate taxes. Let's talk about the side that nobody ever really gets into, and that's the family side. And what do I mean by that? That means that if I create an inheritance plan, if Joe creates an inheritance plan for mom and dad dies first, and then mom dies last, and then 20, 30 years after the plan has been created, and the instructions, the inheritance instructions in that plan are carried out, what do we see? What do we see? What happens? Do we see the smooth transition of wealth and assets from one generation to the next? Yes, we see that a lot. A lot of the times it's uneventful. It's a smooth process. The kids inherit. They go their merry in separate ways. Life is good. But what we've also seen is the stuff that's gone wrong. We have seen the inheritance plans that I have created, my father's created, I'm going to just clue Joe in there, which have inadvertently created chaos and conflict in the family, or has created a situation where the children have just blown the dough, or have created a situation where the daughter who inherits loses everything that she inherited to her ex-husband in a divorce. And where does mom and dad's wealth go in that situation? This is a bad plan when it goes to daughters, former spouses, kids from his second marriage. We're talking a diversion way out of the family bloodline.
I think the thing that's interesting about this business, and what I love about it is the human aspect of it. It's so human. And you know, I feel like we're planting these mines under the ground, you know, waiting for people to die. Well, when they die, we see the plan explode, and sometimes it works just fine, but a lot of times things happen. Like, for example, we would expect for a lady we expect that people will die in a certain order, or they will expect that something sort of is the basis for that plan, and it doesn't happen quite the way you think it might happen. And that's life. I mean, we know that, don't we? I mean, everybody knows things don't happen exactly the way we think they're going to happen. So the question is, what happens in a plan in that situation, and how are we going to handle that? And that is where we get into, you know, where we get some pretty interesting issues in terms of human nature and what's going on.
That's right. There's no class in law school that teaches you how to recognize inheritance conflicts and problems after clients die. That comes from preparing the plans and then seeing what happens after the clients die and seeing how it goes. See if it creates a peaceful situation, or it maintains a peaceful situation, or it creates conflict. So this talk is billed as how to divide the family money, how to divide the inheritance without dividing the family. Let's get right into it.
Well, I just want to say that
yes.
Whatever happens when you lose a loved one, it is always painful. It's not always, it's not a pleasant experience. It's always difficult. It's one of the most difficult things that we as human beings go through. My mom always says, if you live long enough, your life turns many corners, and it is true that. So what we're trying to do is make that as easy as possible. So you can worry about the emotional stuff, the problems with losing a loved one, and not have to worry about the legal side. That's what Jeff is trying to do. That's what we try to do.
You know, I'm feeling quite the family connection after Joe told me about his father having practiced, and this has nothing to do with anything, but my father used to say all the time, and it's something I repeat quite often, especially with my kids: life is a long time if you live long enough.
Yeah.
You just gotta live long enough. Okay.
No, but what my partner says, Beverly Sam says, I can devise the perfect estate plan. All you have to do is tell me when you're going to die. If you know that, I can make it perfect. But if you're not, we always a little bit of a guess.
So this talk is billed as how to divide the family money, how to divide the inheritance without dividing the family. Let's get right into it.
Well, I just want to say that
Yes.
whatever happens when you lose a loved one, it is always painful. It's not always, it's not a pleasant experience. It's always difficult. It's one of the most difficult things that we as human beings go through. My mom always says, if you live long enough, your life turns many corners, and it is true that. So what we're trying to do is make that as easy as possible. So you can worry about the emotional stuff, the problems with losing a loved one, and not have to worry about the legal side. That's what
That's
Jeff
good. And
is trying to do. That's what we try to do.
you know, I'm feeling quite the family connection after Joe told me about his father having practiced, and this has nothing to do with anything, but my father used to say all the time, and it's something I repeat quite often, especially with my kids, life is a long time if you live long enough.
Yeah.
You just gotta live long enough.
No,
Okay.
what my partner says, Beverly Sands says, I can devise the perfect estate plan. All you have to do is tell me when you're going to die. If you know that, I can make it perfect. But if you're not, we always, it's a little bit of a guess. It's a little bit of guess.
Beverly Sands was the first person I asked, the first attorney first estate planning attorney I spoke with when I became an attorney. I met her at the Santa Monica Bar Association, and she was really nice to me. Okay, here we go, folks.
She's still going.
She's still going, still practicing. Here we go. The first part of the family side that we're talking about tonight, and